Welcome, my friends, to the Sage of Quay Radio Hour, your home for free and critical thinking, and I'm your host, Mike Williams. Tonight, returning to the show is Jordan Maxwell. For more than 50 years, Jordan continues as the preeminent researcher and independent scholar in the field of occult and religious philosophy. He served for 3.5 years as the religion editor of Truth Seeker magazine, America's oldest Freethought Journal, which was established in 1873. His work exploring the hidden foundations of Western religions and secret societies has captivated the attention of critical thinkers from around the world. His work on the subject of secret societies and their symbols has fascinated his worldwide audience for decades. This show is part one of a two-part interview, and for this discussion, Jordan will talk to us about two brand new DVDs he has just released. The first is Revealing Ancient Mysteries, where Jordan puts to rest one of the great central mysteries of Christianity and sheds light on its beginnings and current-day incarnation. The second DVD is Cosmocrats, where after 50 years of extensive research, Jordan reveals the world's most powerful secret society and the symbol they use to control the world. Jordan's website is jordanmaxwell.com, and a highly recommended section of his website is Jordan's Research Society, where for $30 you receive a lifetime subscription giving you access to a plethora of Jordan's private research documents. And so without further ado, here's Jordan Maxwell. Jordan, welcome back to the show. And you had mentioned to me that you have two videos out. One is Cosmocrats, is that right?
Yeah, Cosmocrats. The word is actually Cosmocratorus.
Okay.
Cosmocratorus, but it gives us the word cosmocrat. It's a Greek word because, and the first time we see that, or the first time I saw it, is in the Bible, in the New Testament, when the Apostle Paul, writing in the book of Ephesians 6:12, says this. This is a very famous scripture. You've heard it, I know. He said, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the world rulers of this darkness, against spiritual wickedness in high places." When we read this one term, against the world rulers of darkness, that caught my attention. And world rulers is cosmo, like cosmonauts.
Yes.
Cosmos means world. Rulers is crats, like Democrats and plutocrats. So cosmos is world, and crats is rulers. So cosmocrats is world rulers. And when in the Bible, in Ephesians 6:12, when the Apostle Paul is talking about we are wrestling not against flesh and blood, but against the world rulers of darkness. I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's very interesting comment. World rulers of darkness, implying, obviously, that the darkness, the evil that's going on in this world, all of the lies and bloodshed and the violence, the darkness of the human race is being ruled over by some people who know better, who know what they're doing, and purposely causing this kind of chaos in the human societies around the world. They're purposely pushing drug addiction, alcoholism, the violence and wars, etc. And so the scripture's right. We have a war against the world rulers of darkness. Well, as I said, the Greek word for rulers of darkness, if you look it up in the reference books, is cosmocratorus or cosmocrats. And so I did a long time ago, I was going to say I've done a video on that subject, but I should preface it by saying back in 1967, which is 56 years ago, time passes when you get old, but back in 1967, I was in a library in Los Angeles, in Glendale, and I was researching the secret societies of Nazism and communism and fascism. I was fascinated with all the isms and their connection behind the scenes. Communists and Nazis were both connected together, both receiving money from the same people. And that's a whole story in itself. And so anyway, I kept coming across a certain terms and a particular symbol that the Soviet Union was using on their national coat of arms. We also have a national coat of arms. We call it a national seal, but in point of fact, it's a coat of arms. And that national coat of arms for the U.S. is on the back of a $1 bill, the eagle. That whole little picture of the eagle with the stars above it.
Right.
That's called a national coat of arms, our official seal. And so, the Soviet Union, the first communist nation in the world, had an official seal. And so I was looking up communism in Soviet Union, and there was a picture of the seal of the Soviet Union, and then their flag, beneath it, the flag. And there was just a little tiny article of a few sentences about each picture. And on the coat of arms, it just said, as you will see, the picture of the coat of arms, and then it explained what that symbol that was representing the Soviet Union meant. And when I read that it was only about 2 sentences, it struck me like a brick, because I had been looking for years and talking for years about secret signs and symbols and emblems of secret organizations, etc., secret societies, and it didn't occur to me until I read that article about the Soviet coat of arms and what the symbol for the Soviet Union represented. It finally hit me that I had stumbled upon something of profound importance. In my gut, I know that this means something dark, because I've seen it before. Adolf Hitler used the same symbol and the same words. The Babylonians, Sumerians, the British, the Germans, the French, around all over the world, and Egypt, quite literally around the earth. The national coats, the national nations and peoples have used this symbol and the same words. The police department, the educational institutions, the governments and the state governments in the U.S., there's virtually nowhere that this symbol that's on the Soviet national coat of arms is virtually nowhere you can look that you don't see it in Nazism, not only communism, but in Nazism and fascism, in America, in Canada, in colleges, universities, police departments, airlines, schools. My God, it is everywhere. And everywhere it appears, it always looks like is that company or that corporation's logo. No, it's the same identical logo everywhere on the earth. And the explanation for each time it appears is always the same. So immediately it's what you call pattern recognition. I began to suspect, wait a minute, something is popping up all over the world, that same symbol, that same explanation for that symbol. There's got to be something going on here far bigger than anyone has ever even suspected. And so that was in 1967. And since 1967, I have been researching and studying that one symbol along with all the other stuff I talk about, but that one symbol and that one concept that all nations, races, peoples, and governments and institutions around the earth use that same identical symbol with that same explanation. And then I find that presidents of the United States, every single one up until Trump has never used it, but every single president that I've been alive for in the past 76 years has used that same symbol, same words, same terms. And so the bottom line on all of this is quite simply this. There's something bigger going on the earth than Nazism or communism or fascism. Something very, very evil, something very powerful has been going on for thousands of years, where kings and rulers and nations have been using a particular symbol, and it always represents and is explained the same way. So that tells me that the world that I live in is far more evil and far more corrupt and far too far gone than just to get rid of one politician and put a different one in. No, there's something going on the earth that can be traced back thousands and thousands of years ago. So something is going on the earth today that the human race, the whole family of humans on the earth, do not see. And I'm thinking, that sounds like biblical stuff about how we read in the Bible how Satan is the god of this world, and the whole world lies in the power of the wicked one, and things like that are said in Scripture. And then I'm thinking, my God, that's true. Because if you can show one symbol, one idea, one philosophy that all nations accept, that all governments use, all institutions made by man use the same symbol, words, terms, and concept, then I figured, then it occurred to me, wait a minute, if that's the case, and this is demonic, and this is depravity and demonic, and it's all over the earth, let's go back and see where this stuff really came from. Far back, what did it mean 10,000 years ago, and what does it actually mean today? And then you find out it's the same. The same symbol appeared in the ancient world and the prehistoric world and the Middle Ages during the time of the Renaissance. Today, all over the earth, as I said, in all man-made institutions, universities, colleges, schools, police departments, government agencies, banks. My God, pick a subject or pick an industry on the earth, and it's filled with it, and especially Hollywood and motion pictures and television. It's right in your face. But the one thing that really amazes me is how many presidents and how many governments of the world use the same symbol. Ronald Reagan talked about the symbol. He talked about it and used the same terms that the Soviet Union did, the same words and the terms which the encyclopedias will tell you that the communists meant by the symbol. That's exactly what Ronald Reagan said. Then I find out, no, that's what Bill Clinton said. And that's what George Bush said, father and son. That's what Teddy Roosevelt said, those same words. So I'm totally convinced that what we are facing as Americans, the only people who have actually understood beginnings of what freedom of the human race is, has nothing to do with politics, has nothing to do with America. It has to do with the freedom of the human race on the earth, which brings into question, who are we? Who in the hell created us? And if we had a creator, that means somebody owns the creation. Somebody invented us or created us. Therefore, they have a right to own us. And if that's the case, then is that why the bloodthirsty, murderous royalty of Europe talk about a divine right of kings? Because divine right implies God says you can be king. And then I think, wait a minute, what God? Who the hell told you you can be king over the whole human race? Unless, of course, there is some kind of a presence on the earth that is unseen to we humans, but which is there right in your face if you knew what to look for. I mean, I used to watch my grandfather all the time rant and cursing about his glasses, and he's wearing them on the top of his head, and he's looking for his glasses. I used to think it was funny. I thought he was just playing and joking. No, he's serious. He was looking for his damn glasses. Well, you're wearing them, stupid. You know. So I think that's the same kind of situation the human family on the earth is experiencing all over the world. Spiritually minded, intelligent, intelligent people realize there's something bad about the earth. Something bad is causing humans to die, drug overdoses, wars, violence, bloodshed, rape. Something bad is a part of us. It's hardwired, I would say, into the human family. But nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows how to fix it. We just try and put Band-Aids on it. We try and do something called law and make laws against this and that. And the more laws you make, the worse it gets. Because you're not going to stop humans from being human. And they're going to be out killing and raping and lying and causing wars, etc. And so I finally have nailed it down, and I think I have made a fairly good case for what I see. I've tried to make it very simple. It's about an hour and a half, 90-minute video in which I am attempting to show something that virtually no one has ever seen before. A dark presence on the earth that involves itself in everything human. All of our symbols that we use in, as I said, in schools and colleges and banks, insurance companies, commerce, education, the symbol is everywhere. And it all boils down to what today Christians and researchers are referring to as Luciferianism. First of all, that's a very big subject. I've already gone through this subject some 50 years ago. Lucifer is actually Jesus in the Bible. Right. Jesus is referred to as Lucifer in the book of Revelation 22:16. So when you talk about Lucifer, well, you better go back and find out first that in the Bible, Lucifer is Jesus. Satan is called a devil, but Lucifer is Jesus. And so, and the mere fact that you've got something called a devil is simply putting a D, the letter D, in front of the word evil, becomes devil. We get the word God by taking an O out of the word good and becomes God. God is good, the devil is evil. Then you see how the words have been used to manipulate the spiritual and intellectual thinking of the human race. And so as far as I'm concerned, no matter how much we change, no matter how smart we think we are, we're still buying into the same old bullshit that was given to the human race some 7,000 years ago on the plains of Shinar, going back to Babylonia, Sumeria, Phoenicia, Cana, Egypt. And then when you get into my favorite subject, which I love, this is all just academic stuff I felt is important to talk about to people. to let them understand how much they've been hoodwinked and lied to. But my most favorite subject, of which I feel that I'm here for, is theology and religion. I love the subject of religion, God, and the theological concepts around the world, where they've come from, etc. And even in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam is the same symbol. So it's used in all three religions, and especially in Judaism and Christianity. You can find it also, if you know what you're looking for, in Islam, but it's in your face in Christianity. The symbol, this dark, demonic, depravity symbol that has been used for at least 7,000 years we know of, coming from the ancient and prehistoric world, is now in your face in Christianity, in churches everywhere. And so that's why I felt that producing this video I call Cosmocrats and their insidious influence on us. I wanted to show the world and people in general, in all nations, have you ever seen this symbol? Your president uses it, your country uses it, your university uses it, your church uses it, your synagogues use it. Everything around you that is part of your world uses the same symbol. Do you know what it means? No. Do you know where it comes from? No. Then you are truly ignorant, ill-informed, unread, and no wonder the world is turning away from anything good and decent and turning to drugs and alcohol and violence in the streets, because people the world over are frustrated and angry and mad because they know something is very bad, wrong, but they have no idea in the world where it's coming from. And so I made that discovery of where it's coming from and who's doing it. But it goes back thousands of years. And it's so big and so dark and so incredibly evil that the best minds we have today can look at it and just scratch their head and think, what in the hell is this all about? Because the same identical symbols that were in the ancient Egyptian empire, the ancient Grecian empire, the ancient Romans, the ancient Hindus, the Muslims, Catholics, Christians, Jews, all use the same emblem. They all have the same words. So I just think, this is one hell of a story. One incredible story.
Oh, it is. Can you tell us what that symbol is?
I think I would rather save it for the DVD. And here's the reason why. Because even if I told you 95 to 98% of what I do is visual, I could tell you something, but it's not going to really hit you until you see it. And you begin to see that same symbol in your church, in your religion, in your town, your cities, your city where you live, in its coat of arms, or its symbol for the city, a symbol for your state, the symbol for your government, the symbol for your bank, the symbol for the college, and your college, your university, the school where your children are going to school. It's only when you begin to see it everywhere, it finally dawns on you. This is scary. This implies something that we've never heard of before, something that is so pervasive, so dark, and so evil, and yet is pervading the whole earth. And so telling you what it is really is anticlimactic. It would be taking away from the effect I'd like to have on your mind when you see it. Because I've filled the hour-and-a-half video with hundreds of pictures showing it all over the world, in Germany, all over Europe, all over Asia, China, Africa, tribes out in the middle of the African wilderness using the same symbols the Russians use. And then you're finding out the ancient Sumerians and ancient peoples of the ancient Middle East, and also using the same symbols, same words. So I think to understand what I'm talking about, and to get the rush that will hit you, the adrenaline rush, that when you finally see it, it's like anything else. You know that many years ago, a few years back, we had something called computerized art, where it was just one big, massive chaos of nothing on the screen. It was just a jumble. It looked like a television. It looked like the static on a TV. But if you stare at it long enough, the brain does its configuring in your mind, and all of a sudden pops out an airplane or a human or an animal or something, a jet plane, out of that chaos. The brain finally figures it out and does what I call pattern recognition. And all of a sudden you see the hidden picture right in front of you. Well, that's what I'm talking about in relation to the subject and the video I've just done. It's because if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll never guess it. But once you see and watch the video and watch what I'm showing you, where it came from, what it meant, what it means today, and now here it is, all in your face, all over the world. And it implies, the implication of my video is that the whole entire world has bought into something that is so clever, so profoundly otherworldly brilliant and clever that no one saw it. And this is why the scripture has Jesus saying, many will look with their eyes but not see. And they will listen with their ears but not hear. And the third point is that, and with their heart, they don't get the sense of it. That's what the scripture says. So people are looking with their eyes, right, but they don't see it. They're listening with their ears, but they don't hear it. And with their heart, they don't get it, period. Until you begin to see it everywhere, and then it finally begins to what they call dawn on you. And the more you look, the more it becomes obvious and frightening, because now you're seeing it everywhere and you never saw it at all before. Well, that implies an extraordinarily brilliant control over the human psyche on this earth, that people have not seen this before and have not picked up on it. That implies to me some sort of a higher intelligence over the earth that has been able, with no problem at all, to keep the human mind so occupied it will never see the obvious. It won't see the glasses on the top of your head even when you're looking in the mirror. Why? Because you're not looking for it. It never occurred to you. It's right in front of you. You're wearing it on your head and you didn't even see it. And so that's why I think that this video I have produced is of importance. I think it's important because I don't want to leave this world, and I'm not here for much longer, and I know that. But I don't want to leave this world until I have sufficiently got people to see something the human family has never seen before. And you know, then at least I can leave this world knowing that I've done something. Like Nikola Tesla, who lit the world, who gave us alternating current, which lights our world. Nikola Tesla gave us radio, not Marconi. Marconi was a thief and stole the paperwork on how to create a radio. Marconi did not invent radio. He was a thief. and stole because he went to Nikola Tesla and asked for a job, and Tesla was good enough to give Marconi a job. And what did Marconi do? He quietly slipped into the boss's office, read his documents, and then wrote and copied Nikola Tesla's idea for a radio, and then went out and got a patent on it. And today, ignorant people all over the world say, oh, the father of radio is Marconi. No, Marconi never did a thing. He stole from the man who helped him. And so I'm saying this is what I want to do. This is what's important to me. It's not the only subject I'm fascinated with, but I'm telling you, this is a very big subject. It takes in world religions, world governments, world political and social philosophies. This is one hell of a subject.
It sounds very, very intriguing, Jordan. I was just looking on your website, and I see you have both videos up, and you have a bundle. You can get Cosmocrats and Revealing Ancient Mysteries.
Well, you need to get both, because one's part 1 and one's part 2. If you get the first one, which is uncovering a secret mysteries, I talk about the conceptual idea and where it came from in ancient world religions of the ancient world, and the prehistoric world religions gave us that symbol. But what did it mean 7,000 to 10,000 years ago in the religious thinking of the human race? And then the next one, Cosmocrats, well, here it is again, all over the world now, and everything secular, everything government, everything educational, military, industrial, it's everywhere. And then for the first time you see, boy, the whole entire world is one ball of wax. We bought into it. I don't care what race, creed, or color you are, where you live. The entire human family has been hoodwinked into buying into something which is so old and so ancient and so dark that most people will never even see it. They'll go through life and never realize what was going on right in front of them. So I feel that that's what I want to do. I want to, obviously, because I'm a professional, I'd like to have the knowledge that my work meant something to people. It actually caused them to think and change their thinking and open their mind for the first time. And like I've always said, and you've heard me say it before, I believe the human mind is like a parachute. It don't work if it's not open. But once you start looking at and opening your mind to how things really work, and where your church, your synagogue, and your mosque, and your government, and your political leaders, and your educational institutions, and your law enforcement, and your military armed forces, once you understand all of them are using the same symbol, and it's based on something 7,000 to 10,000 years old, it's frightening. That's what Donald Trump is up against. He's up against an entire world who has never seen or knows anything about how dark and deep this political, religious, political, human system we live under really is. What he is trying to do, and I've just sat back because I've never supported any politician, and I'm apolitical in that I don't vote for anybody. I just quietly sit quiet. Like an old man, I sit quiet and just watch the world go on and watch all the young people out in the street ranting and raving because that's why we have sports. You think about it, that's why sports are so important around the world. It's because the old guys who run the planet, the real criminal minds who are very clever, and they're old and experienced and knowledgeable, and they're criminals, and they know exactly how to manipulate young people and their young minds. They give them plenty of sports. Give them a ball. I don't care if it's a basketball, soccer ball, pinball, ping pong ball, golf ball. a bowling ball, football, anything. Give the kids a ball and let them play, because now they'll learn how to be a team player so that everybody is on the right team, meaning everybody is on the ship. Everybody is on the citizenship, and everybody's a mate. We're all mate. And we're all on the same ship, and we all say yes, sir, and no, sir, and we all dress alike, and we all think alike. And, of course, I'm saying that when we all think alike, that means nobody's thinking at all.
Right.
And so I'm just saying, if you get the video, you'll see something you've never seen before.
It sounds very, very intriguing, and I promise you I will buy both videos after the show because, you know, Jordan, as I got into all of my research, your work was instrumental. I used to watch all of your presentations that you would do that, you know, they were on YouTube and so on, and I would just eat that stuff up. And
I appreciate it.
I loved it.
I appreciate it.
I absolutely loved your work, and I still love your work. So I'm very, very intrigued that you have these new videos out. Now, when did you start production on these videos? Was it a short while ago, or?
Well, it started in 1967. So in 2017, 67, I don't know, it would be what?
50 years.
50 years. And so I started 50 years ago. And there was no, and I never had a computer. I never had the money. If there were computers, I wouldn't have one. I never had the money to get one anyway. But it was just as well because I wouldn't know what to do with a computer if I had one. And so I spent all of my time at UCLA, County USC in downtown Los Angeles, all of the big universities in Los Angeles and Orange County. Also, the big Christian libraries, research centers, the philosophical research depositories, all kinds of libraries, reading and studying and photocopying documents and cross-referencing the documents I'm finding. And so I just spent all of my life in universities looking at all the old ancient books, ancient records, and I knew I was onto something. I just didn't know what, where it's going to go, but I know I've got something big, and the more I looked at it, the bigger it got. Well, today, of course, with the coming of computers, back in 1993, 94, when I was introduced to the world of computers, happily, some nice young guys came in and wanted to help me, so they bought me a computer. And then they sat down for over a couple of weeks daily and going through how a computer works, what it does, and how to use it. And so they, these young kids taught me what a computer can do. Well, then I had all these boxes. I used to keep everything in boxes. I had bank boxes galore, like any other mad scientist or some lunatic professor. I had boxes and boxes and boxes of documents and photocopies and pictures, and they were all itemized and categorized and alphabetized and all that. So I started scanning all of this in. I mean, I thought it was clever that you could scan pictures in and put it into folders, and so I started doing that. For hours on end every day. And so I finally, after a while, got pretty good at doing what I was doing. I don't understand computers, but I do understand what I'm doing and how to do it. And so so I realized with this, I'm now beginning to see how I could use this technology now to create videos and find a way to distribute videos and get a message out. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years. I've been working with computers, putting, scanning thousands, and I do mean countless thousands. I've got almost 8,000 8,000 reference works written from all over the world that I have collected, almost 8,000 reference works and books on secret societies, fraternal orders, secret symbols, emblems, words, and terms, and how they're used. The whole dark world of the human mind to manipulate and exploit. I have all the reference works. I've saved them from all these years. And then I have also friends and fellow researchers and organizations, actual research societies that send me discs, 5, 6, 8 discs. Sometimes they'll send me a 4 terabyte filled with their research and give it to me as a gift, saying, Jordan, we've been following your work for years. We know that this is something you're dedicated to, is knowledge. We have a 2 terabyte, that's 2,000 gigs of our research on these dark subjects you talk about, and we want to give it to you and see if it's of any value to you. Well, I've gotten so many, terabytes from research organizations around the world, and they will send me hundreds of research books that have been scanned in, so that I think I have probably everything that's ever been printed on these subjects that I am dealing with. I don't even know how many. I know at least 8,000, but I gave up trying to count. And so, anyone who would look at my work would know it's going to take you many years just to see what I have without going into it and reading it, without actually opening the files to go and see what is in there. It's going to take you years just to go through the countless thousands of files of pictures and documents and research materials that I've been collecting for, 30 years with computers. And so I look at all that I've done, and the bottom line on all of this is I have put together a gold mine. But in doing so, one small point, in doing so, I was not out making money. I was not out becoming wealthy and doing business and making money and buying homes and all that. I devoted my life to my work. And after a while, there was nothing I could do but do what I do. And I became so involved in my world of what I was doing that I was no longer concerned with my personal safety or my personal life. And because of that, I lost my family, I lost my home, I lost everything I owned. And then I come to find that people come in behind my back and steal from me, use me, misrepresent me. And then, of course, there are those who are really challenged by what I have found, and they want to use it for themselves to make a quick buck, or they want to steal it so they can have it themselves and be important. And so the bottom line is that at 76 years old today, I own nothing. I have nothing. I have no family, no home. I've been homeless for 30 years. I own and have nothing. I have accumulated only thousands of hours of documents and evidences for things which most people don't even know exist. But it has cost me terrible. It's cost me everything. I don't care at this point. I mean, people will have to call me and let me know that it's the end of the world, because in my world, it ended a long time ago. I just do what I do and hope for the best and keep going. And I feel that one day I will quietly leave this world, and I will have left a legacy of wisdom and knowledge and understanding that maybe, like Nikola Tesla, people will begin to appreciate 50 to 100 years after I'm gone. You will be surprised what I have accumulated in my life. I have right now 3 external hard drives, which are 4 terabytes apiece. That's 12 terabytes. A terabyte is 1,000 gigs. So I have 12,000 gigs of research documents, papers, pictures, research papers, government documents, and it's all categorized, it's all alphabetized, and anyone getting it after I leave this world will find it very easy to look up anything on any subject, period, that's ever been on the earth, and all the pictures and documents are there on all the subjects. So if nothing else, I've done that, and I will leave it to the world when I leave here. But I do want people to realize how much they don't know. And I've been saying that for years. The situation, and if we have a moment, I'll give you an example. If you own, and you probably have heard me say this before, but maybe there are people in the audience who haven't heard me. If you owned a 2-story building, and you're going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, like automobiles or printing presses and big, industrial equipment, if you're going to put it on the second floor, the smart thing to do is call a building inspector, go downstairs, get on a ladder with a building inspector, remove the ceiling tiles from the first floor, and look at the foundation of the floor you're going to build on to see if it's going to hold the kind of weight you're going to put on it. So what you're doing is you're standing under the foundation you're going to build on. This is where we get the idea of understanding. If you don't stand under the foundation, you don't understand what's going on. And so you're going to build your whole life on the second floor and devote your whole life to being a Mormon or a Seventh-day Adventist. You're going to devote your whole life to being a Muslim or a Catholic or a Jew. You're going to devote your whole life and build your whole life and your family's life and your children's life on something that intellectually you have no idea in the world where it came from, what it means. You've never done any research on what you're basing your whole life on. Therefore, you don't understand what you're doing. And the scripture talks about that when Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And that's why the human race is today on alcohol and drugs and violence and wars, because the human family are feeling the effects of a spiritual void that the human family is now experiencing. We have no knowledge. We have no power. We don't have any ability to do anything. We can't cause anything to happen. We can just sit around and commiserate with each other, but there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. You can only, if you're smart enough, you can begin to see some of the problems, but you can't do anything about it. And that's why people are mad and angry and fighting mad in the street, because everybody sees the injustice, but nobody sees where it's coming from. So That's why I do what I do.
In your new video, you're going to take people back to that source of where it's coming from, right? In other words, so that piece of the mystery, or that piece of the puzzle that's missing, will be filled in. I mean, that's a monumental piece of the equation. So
I'll tell you it is. And I'm also, toward the end of it, I will also show you who's using that today on you. The organizations that are using it, that have the control over that symbol and that philosophy and that emblems and those words, who is actually, in fact, using it on the human race? Who's using this? Where is this stuff coming from? Well, we know where it comes from now academically in history. But who is doing this to us today? How is it that all nations, races, creeds, and colors, and newspapers, magazines, governments, who in the hell has that kind of influence on the earth to manipulate the thinking of the whole human family on the earth? I nail it down. I show you exactly who they are and how they do it and what they're doing and what the symbols mean and where it came from. And so if nothing else, at least you can leave this world. At least now you know how the world got screwed, because it's all right there. And it only took me 60 years. So it's an overnight success that took 60 years to get here, because I realized some 50 years ago I was on to something important. I just didn't know what.
So when did you put that DVD together, Jordan? Was that
Well, as I said, I've had all of the ingredients in my hard drives for years.
right?
And then I decided to try and put it together in a video. Well, I found when I was trying, 10, 15 years ago, I tried to put a video together, but it became obvious to me that it's just too big. Where do I start?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you one thing without showing you 10 other things why I am saying what I'm saying. So if I'm saying something, the way I do my teaching is, if I'm telling you something, I want to show you that I'm not an old man that's babbling about something he has no idea what he's talking about. I want to show you with your own eyes. I want you to see where these things have come from. I want you to understand what the reference works around the world are saying about these symbols. And I want to trace it all back so that if nothing else, it may sound ludicrous, it may sound crazy, but you know damn well I know what I'm talking about. And so that's why I do it the way I do. I'm not just going to say something and give you a picture of a symbol. No, I take the first hour or so just tracing it back to where it came from, what it meant 7,000 years ago, what it meant to the Greeks, what it meant to the Romans 2,500 years ago, what it meant to Europe, to the British Empire, what that same symbol and everything meant to the Nazis, to the communists, what it means in America, to the secret societies that own America and the people who are running this country, what that symbol comes from, and how they're connected to European societies, which is directly connected to the Roman Empire. No. So it's one hell of a job trying to lay it all out in such a way in an hour or so in a video. But I think I've done a good enough job that at least you get the point. And I have always felt that in my videos, I am not so deceived as to thinking I'm going to lay the whole truth out. What I want to do with my videos is at least present enough information about something you've never heard before, which will catch the attention of the world of mankind, so that around the world, people who are intelligent and want to know the truth, I will have provided for them information to start with. Here's what it meant. Here's where you go to find out about it. Here's what it means today. And here's where you go to get the reference books on it. Now go look for yourself, and now you will find I was right. There's something big going on here, and now for the first time, you're seeing who's doing it to you and how they're doing it. That's why I think this work is so important. It's important to me because it's like my child. I've been working with him for 50 years. And so it's very close to my heart, my work is. And so I did the best I could.
It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating, Jordan. And how long have the videos been out?
It's only been out about a week.
Okay.
And we had some problems at the very first. Obviously, you always have problems at the very first of anything.
Yeah.
So we had some problems with the fulfillment house. You know, they need this, they need that. They have to have the artwork, and the artwork wasn't what they wanted. And they needed this, they needed that. And so we going back and forth with the big fulfillment house that's going to do fulfillment. we could do it. I mean, my friend and I, who helped me put it together, we could do our own fulfillment, send the orders out. But I know my gut feeling is, once this subject is out there, a lot of people are going to want to get this thing. It may be crazy, it may be lunacy, it may have no basis in fact, but I know a lot of people are going to see this and think, wait a minute, there's something going on here. And a lot of people are going to want to get that video. And I want to make sure it's done right, it's distributed correctly, and that people get what they order. And so we've been working for over a month to 6 weeks with the fulfillment house to make damn sure they do it right. And believe me, that's a big problem today in America, getting a company to do things right. And it may cost you enormous, but they're not doing it right. And people will be contacting you and saying, well, I got this, but it was too late. It came, you said it come in a week, and it came 6 weeks later, and it was broken when I got it, or it doesn't work, or it's not compatible with my player. So we had to make sure that everything was working perfectly, before we go out and start marketing the product. And so it looks pretty good now. And people who have gotten the video have contacted us and said it's sensational, never seen such a stuff like this. And we want to get more. We want to order more for our friends. So I thought to myself, see, that's what I knew was going to happen, is that when you introduce something of real value, people are going to pick up on it, and it's going to spread. So make sure you got a good company that's doing the reproduction and doing it right, and so that it looks as good as it can possibly look, and it gets to people on time, etc. And so all of that's just part of the business, and I don't take care of the business. I'm the talent. I put the thing together, and then I give it to my partner, and he's the genius with business and fulfillment, and so I just let him take care of the business part, and he's up all night long pulling his hair out, trying to make sure that, and it's continual. People will say, I ordered it last week. Where is it? And we get people saying, we ordered it 2 days ago. Where is it? Well, my God, you got to get the post office on at least enough time to get it to you. And so, all of that considered, it's still an enjoyable work to be able to see people's eyes light up and to begin to hear around the world on radio shows people talking about something you've done. And it's very kind of rewarding professionally to see important people, people of real value, important names around the world commenting about my work and praising it publicly. That to me it's worth all the other trouble to have important people see my work and comment on it. And believe me, I've had that happen many times. I could go into some stories about my experiences in my life, because I've said so often that I'm not the world's foremost authority on anything. I'm just an ordinary man pursuing extraordinary knowledge. But the one thing I do bring to the table, if anything at all, is I bring to the table the people that I have met in my life. I've been blessed, so to speak, with being able to be in the right place at the right time to meet extraordinary people. Astronauts, physicists, scientists, industrialists, very powerful people that I happen by chance, like a dope, happen to be in the right place at the right time and be able to meet them, sit down with them and talk to them. And then when I walk away, my head is spinning. I've just talked to one of the most powerful men in the world.
Yeah.
And he's asking me questions. And I can tell when I talk to him, this is an interesting point. I've talked to a lot of very powerful people, political leaders, astronauts, underworld figures, godfathers, mafiosi. I've talked to a lot of very impressive people in my life. And the one thing I've noticed about these kind of people, that have the political power and the might to do whatever they want, I've noticed that they show respect and listen. They show respect and they listen. And they come back with questions that shows me that their minds are working. Not just interesting little Mickey Mouse questions. No. They are listening. Unlike people in the streets, which I talk to audiences, they hear me, but they're not listening.
Right.
But one thing powerful people do is if you catch their attention, they're listening. And the reason why is they want to know, what else do you know that I can use? Yeah, if you were smart enough to figure this out, I want to talk with you about some other things I'm involved in.
Yeah, what else have you figured out? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've had that. I've had some very powerful people in the underworld say that to me. I'll pay you for your time if I can come and sit with you. And, I'm always very cautious about who I'm going to sit and talk with in private.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, because I don't want to tell them something that will get me in trouble later, that they will use. Knowledge that I gave them, they use. And when government finds out it was Jordan Maxwell that told me how to do this, I don't want that. So I try and keep my conversations to people that I feel that are honest and want to know. And I always preface my comments, by saying, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you advice. You just ask me for my opinion, I'll give you my opinion,
Right.
And so I do that. I even do that today on my website, which is Jordan Maxwell Show. If you want to contact me, my website is my podcast. The website is Jordan Maxwell Show, SHOW, jordanmaxwellshow.com. That's my website. And so if you want to contact me, just go there, send an email to Jordan Maxwell Show. I get it immediately, even though it goes to the show, but it also goes to me immediately. And I'll get back to you. But I also do consultations. I've had some of the most impressive, biggest motion picture producers and companies in Hollywood ask me and send me contracts and ask me to consider coming on board to be a consultant to this and that company. And then when I see the company name and know who it's connected to, that's big, very big. And and then I turn them down every time. Every time I get an opportunity to be a consultant to some of the biggest names in Hollywood, I never do that. I would never do that.
Why not?
Because I don't feel worthy. I think when you're in that kind of a realm of big business, big Hollywood, big motion pictures, you have to have a self-image of yourself as being important. To work in that kind of environment with these high-powered people. I don't have that kind of an image of myself, and I would not do well in that environment because I know how much I don't know. And I know that I'm not the world's foremost authority on anything. I've just been in the company of brilliant people.
But if they're tapping you, Jordan, if they're coming to you and asking you, then they obviously have a lot of respect for what it is that you bring to the table.
Well, I know, but I just don't feel worthy. I just don't feel it. I just don't think, no, it's not for me. I do what I do, and if you can get something from it, it's free, it's out there, but I don't want to be paid.
Okay.
I don't want to be paid for anything because I don't feel worthy. I quite sincerely do not feel that I'm expert enough on anything to be paid as a consultant. But if you want to talk with me in private, as long as you understand, I'm just like you. I'm just an ordinary guy too. It's just that I've been places you haven't, and I know stuff you don't know. So if you want to talk to me in private, well, that's different. One-on-one, that's fine. But working for some of the biggest names in Hollywood, No, not me. No, that's not who I am. And but it also is very rewarding to at least can say, and I can show contracts that have been sent to me by the biggest names in Hollywood. And I've been on, of course, I've been on tons of television shows like History Channel and Discovery and TLC and ABC and NBC and CBS. I've been on many, many shows as an expert witness kind of thing. But that's a very iffy. I don't like promoting myself. I just do what I do, and if somebody can use it, that's fine. If they can't, I don't care. So anyway, that's the way I view myself, and that's the way I view my work. I'm just happy and delighted that people are hearing me and that I want to do what I love doing, and that is put out occult or hidden knowledge that people have never heard of before. So that maybe when I leave this world soon, my name will live on and people will refer to my work, years later, like we do today with Tesla and Albert Einstein and other people, that we use their work, we use what they've done, to build on the shoulders of other people who have done. Because what I do is what is called research. The word means to do again. So what I'm doing is building on the shoulders of great men and great people that have been on the earth years ago, before my grandmother was born. And going back to the 16th, 17th, 18th century AD, with the great minds and great people who did the work of exploring where things have come from. Then I read their books and put it together with other books and eventually do a video on it. I'm not the one who came up with all of this. I did the research to find it and then put it out for people to use. So I don't consider myself to be very smart. I'm not that clever. I'm just fascinated with wisdom and knowledge and what we don't know. And my God, that I could go for 5 lifetimes telling you things you've never heard of before. Nothing works the way you think it does. In this world, nothing works the way you think it does. Let me give you an example, if we have a few minutes.
Sure, yes.
A classic example of when I say nothing works the way you think it does, and I do mean nothing. Take, for instance, commerce, business. It doesn't work the way you think it does. For instance, if you were a painting contractor and I call you and I want you to paint my office, you come out because you're a licensed contractor from the state. You come out, you see the job, and you give me an estimate. We're talking commerce and business. This is the way it's done. Then if I agree to the price, you give me a price, say, of $100 to paint my room. And I agree to the price. Fine. When you're through with the job, what do? You come to me and you give me a bill. And the bill is $100. And on that bill, it explains what you did, what it cost you, whatever. And the bottom line is I owe you $100. I reach in my wallet and I pull out a $100 bill and I give it to you. You're happy. You got paid. I'm happy. I got what I wanted. And that's it. It's just business. No, you didn't get paid. I didn't pay you anything. You cannot pay a bill in America. Remember those words. You cannot pay a bill in America. You can discharge a debt, but you cannot pay a bill. So when you hear people saying, I've got to pay this bill, I got to pay that bill, well, actually, in point of fact, if you were educated, you would know you can't pay a bill. You can only discharge a debt. And what are you talking about? Well, if you give me a bill for $100, I turn around and give you a $100 bill. And you think you were paid. You weren't paid. You gave me a bill for $100. I gave you a $100 bill.
A bill for
Now,
a bill.
you owe me $100. It's called a $100 bill. Now, if you had given me a bill for $20, I would give you a $20 bill. Now, you owe me $20. If your bill was for $10, I give you a $10 bill. So when you give me a bill, I turn around in my wallet and give you a bill. It's a $100 bill? Yeah, I'll give you a $100 bill. Now, you owe me. I didn't pay you anything. I neutralized the debt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why we call it discharging a debt. Because when you walk across a carpet, you build up electricity, and when you touch a piece of metal, it's a discharge. So therefore, when you neutralize the debt, it's discharged. That's why when you're in the military and they let you go, you've been discharged. Because your body is a biological battery. Your body is biological and it's a battery. Therefore, you have energy, that the body creates energy. Unless, of course, you're my age and don't have any energy. But the body is a biological battery. And that's why if you get in trouble, they're going to put you in a cell. Because that's what a battery is. It's a cell. And so when you go to court, why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court. Well, how do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Get it?
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that it's all business. It's all discharging a debt. It's how it's played. It's nothing, nobody's paying for anything. And since you don't pay for anything, but you neutralize the debt by giving the person a bill for the same amount of bill he gave you, then you never paid for anything. By law, you never paid for anything. And if you never paid for anything, then you don't own it. So when you go in to buy a new car and you plunk down $47,000 in cash to buy it cash, and so you own it, you must get it registered. Why? Because you don't own it.
Yeah.
Somebody else owns that car. You didn't pay for it. You neutralized the debt. I mean, you owed the car company $47,000, but they owe you $47,000 because you gave them $47,000 in bank notes. They're called Federal Reserve bank notes. You call it money. No, it's a bank note, and they owe you money now. And so the only thing you need to do now is just keep track of it. You keep records. Who gave you a bill and how many bills did you give them? And so the bottom line at the end of your life and at the end of the year in April is who gave you a bill and how many bills did you give them to neutralize the debt. And so you don't own your children, you don't own your car, you don't own your house, you don't own nothing. The only way in America and in Western civilization you can own anything, which means God cannot take it away from you. Nobody can touch it because you own it. The only way you can own anything is with an allodial title. A-L-L-O-D-I-A-L, allodial title. So when you go in to buy a new car, I've done that before. I didn't buy the car. I never have money for gas, much less to buy a car. But I've gone in with wealthy friends who did buy a car cash. And I was there listening to the business. And he said, my friend said to the salesman, I want to buy this car allodial. And they said, oh, okay. And they went back and got some special paperwork. And came out, and it said on the paperwork, allodial title. And so afterwards, I asked my friend, what's this, allodial title? He said, that means I own the car, period. Nobody can take it from me. Not the U.S. government, not the president, or Jesus. Nobody can touch this car. It's mine, period.
Does that mean no registration, none of that stuff?
No.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. No registration, no taxes on it, nothing. I own it. And so when you buy a car, the state owns the car. Why? Because you never paid for it. So you have to lease the car back from the owners. The state owns the car.
And that concludes another Sage of Quay interview, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as I did. Links to my guests' websites and social media are listed in the show notes below. And as always, I'd like to thank everyone for listening and visiting the blog. You can get to the blog by typing in sageofquayradio.blogspot.com or simply head over to our hub website at sageofquay.com. Also, if you get a moment, please visit laboroflovemusic.com to listen to my album, Leaving Dystopia. And remember, live in truth and always serve creation. It's really that simple. See everyone next week. Be safe, enjoy, and God bless.